was the last hour of the night, and the entire village was shrouded in a deathly silence. The strong wind, blowing through the dense bamboo forests, was creating the sounds of someone whispering. An old farmer was sitting on the veranda of his thatched house, taking a last sip of tea. His eyes were fixed on the distant horizon, where the clouds were swallowing the moon. The villagers called this farmer wise, but tonight was going to be the greatest test of his wisdom. Suddenly, a rumble arose from under the ground that shook the village's thatched doors and walls. Pots began to fall, and birds began to fly from the trees, screaming. It was not an earthquake, it was something else, a fear that was rising directly from the farmer's rice field. The village watchman started ringing the bell like a madman. People came out of their houses with torches, but no one dared to step towards the terrifying sound. But the old farmer silently picked up his old bamboo lantern and walked towards the darkness. Another farmer held his hand and stopped him. "Don't be crazy. Your crops must be ruined by now. Why are you going there and wasting your life?" The old farmer looked at the man. Instead of fear in his eyes, there was a strange calm. He said, "If trouble has come, turning your back on it will not end it. I must go and face it." The old farmer walked alone on this dark trail. As the old farmer approached his field, the air became hot and heavy. The strong smell of sulfur spread in the air, making it difficult to breathe. When he reached the edge of the field, his steps stopped. The scene in front of him was enough to blow the mind of any human being. In the very center of the field, where golden rice had been waving a few hours ago, there was now a huge black smoke cloud rising. The ground had cracked open, and boiling red-brown water was gushing out, swallowing up his year's worth of hard work. The old farmer's only support, his means of survival, was disappearing before his eyes. But he did not scream, nor did he look up at the sky and curse fate. He sat there on his knees, closed his eyes, and calmed himself completely in the face of the storm. The terrible darkness of the night gradually lifted, and the first rays of the sun appeared from the east. The villagers, who had been trembling with fear all night, now moved fearfully towards the old farmer's field. They had come to see where the old farmer's body lay, but when they arrived there, everyone's mouths dropped open. There was no body there, nor was the land barren. That dark shadow of the night was actually a fierce steam rising from deep within the earth, and the boiling mud that appeared was actually a natural, transparent, and mineral-rich hot spring boiling from thousands of feet deep in the earth. The earthquake had certainly destroyed the old farmer's crop, but in return, it had given him a healing spring that was worth more than 1,000 rice crops. What the old farmer considered the greatest misfortune of his life was actually the beginning of the prosperity of his generations. Within a few months, the village's fortunes changed. News of the old farmer's hot springs spread throughout Japan. The city's merchants, samurai, and the governor's officials began to come from far and wide to bathe in the waters and be healed. The old farmer built a beautiful traditional guest house there. The old farmer, who had only been a poor man, had now become the richest man in the area. But prosperity also brought new dangers. A very cruel and greedy merchant of the city, Kenji, arrived at the village with his armed warriors. He threw a bag of gold in front of the old farmer and said, "This land and this spring are now mine. Name it after me, or tomorrow night, this guest house of yours will be reduced to ashes and your old bones will be found floating in this spring." The villagers were frightened and advised the old farmer to go to the city judge, but the old farmer only exchanged a smile after hearing Kenji's threat. He told Kenji, "This spring belongs to the earth, not to me. If nature wants to give it to you, who am I to stop it?" Kenji thought him cowardly and left, after giving him 2 days' respite. The very next night, a severe storm hit the mountains. The rain was so heavy that a large part of the mountain fell down in a landslide. But amazingly, the protective walls of the old farmer's guest house deflected the debris, and the landslide went straight to the path where Kenji and his warriors had pitched their tents. Kenji and his men left everything in the dark of night and fled for their lives, never to return to the village again. The old farmer gathered the villagers and uttered the historic phrase that is the greatest philosophy of life. There is no external way to stop the suffering of life, because difficulties are the law of the universe, but you can stop their impact within yourself only through patience and acceptance. Whenever a disaster comes, understand that nature is tearing up the old earth, not to wipe you out, but to make way for a new spring in your life. Those who run away in fear are destroyed, and those who face it with care are the victors.